The mystery of the electricity used in ancient Egypt that could last for millennia. Back in the 20th century, scientists were not able to find any trace of soot at the ceilings and walls of ancient Egyptian tombs, and this led to the conclusion that a different source of light was used to create enigmatic wall paintings on the inside of the temples and the tombs, instead of oil lamps, which would, of course, given smoke and soot. During the excavation of the Temple of Hathor, located in the middle course of the Nile, about 310 miles south of Giza, Egypt, in 1876, under the expertise of the German Egyptologist Johann Dümmichen, the archaeologists could not understand the purpose of the chambers found in these premises. So they discovered three unusual bas-reliefs which depicted people holding large bulb-shaped objects with wriggling serpents inside. In the hieroglyphs above the bas-reliefs, the serpents are named Seraph, which means to glow. Some researchers suggested that this is a peculiar form of ancient electric lighting. Swedish engineer Henry Jelson was the first person to draw attention to these ancient paintings. He wrote several books on ancient technology on lost civilizations. In his book, Forsvunnen Technique, or Disappeared Technology, written in 1962, he noted that the objects carried by ancient figures in their hands were incandescent lamps with cables supported by insulators. His idea was also supported by Enrik von Daniken, Austrian author Reinhard Habeck, and Peter Krasa even dictated a whole book entitled Light for the Pharaoh on this topic. Man interpreted that the tails of the serpents emerged from one end and stretched along the entire length, are quite reminiscent of the electric cartridge. Besides, the whole apparatus is shown resting on a pillar-like object known as dej, which is a symbol of the stability in Egyptian hieroglyphs. On the other hand, a cable can be seen coming out of the flask and connected to a box upon which sits an image of the Egyptian god Atum-Ra. It's believed the box is the energy source, as Ra was the god of the sun in ancient Egypt. On the right side of the bas-relief is standing Egyptian god Anubis with a dog head who holds two knives in both of his hands. It's interpreted as a caution sign, or maybe it's also a switch for the device. Those who interpreted this possibility believed that the underground chamber of the Hathor temple was a real power plant, and the bas-reliefs depict the secret science of electricity, which was used only by the initiates. There are other images that look more like small electric bulbs, which are familiar to us. The Temple of Hathor was built in 1995 BC, but an inscription in one of his underground chambers says that it was built according to the plan inscribed on an ancient scroll from the time of the god Horus. And there are labels that just look like instructions for us. It's possible that they tried to preserve some kind of knowledge because there are many inscriptions around it. Is it possible that our ancestors from ancient times knew about electricity and how to use it? In 1938, German archaeologist Wilhelm Koenig discovered a terracotta pot in modern Rabu in Iraq. The pot contained an electric sheet and a rod, and many researchers believe that the batteries belonged to the Parthian kingdom, which had been existing from 250 BC to 220 AD. The experiments that the Baghdad battery was subjected to showed that it could generate a voltage between the electrodes of up to 5 volts. This suggests that ancient civilizations had quite advanced technologies, and that ancient civilizations were not as primitive as we think. And it also is possible that ancient people found a way to connect batteries and generate more power for multiple devices at once. But to have such a complex apparatus in ancient times, one should not only know the concept of electricity, but also the basic laws of physics for calculating the parameters of batteries. So this might explain why researchers did not find any traces of soot in the Egyptian tombs. Saint Augustine, also known as Augustine of Hippo, he was the bishop of North Africa, described in his book The City of God, a temple of Egypt dedicated to Venus or Isis, in which there is a lamp that requires an asbestos base and is completely unaffected by the weather. And that there was or is a temple of Venus in which a candelabrum set in the open air holds a lamp which burns so strongly that no storm or rain extinguishes it, and which is therefore called, like the stone mentioned, the asbestos or indistinguishable lamp. Greek philosopher Plutarch also talked about a lamp that burned in the temple of the god Amun-Ra in Egypt, and in 1652, German Jesuit scholar Athanasius Kircher wrote about the glowing lamps that he saw in the underground storage facilities of Memphis in Egypt. Until now, it remains a mystery what kind of lighting means were used by the ancient civilization, creating color paintings and jewelry work of reliefs in the dark chambers of the pyramids and temples. Physicists who study the properties of the Cheops pyramid have found out that the pyramid can concentrate electromagnetic energy in the internal chambers and focus it into the space below it. And this is on House and Wise by Vicky Verma. Please leave your comments. Thank you for your support. Support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.